Shut up and sit down.
Man, welcome everybody to to the Useful Idiots War on
man.
Drugs episode. Man, that was just
The DEA is descending now.
oh shit.
On our location.
Oh, you're just paranoid, Paul. You're just so paranoid.
Does that
right
mean does that mean I need more or less?
now. You need a little more?
More, okay.
We're gonna
It
freak
makes you
out.
less paranoid.
It makes you
No?
less paranoid, yeah.
Makes you more paranoid. I don't think I need anything that makes me more paranoid.
Yeah, you're very paranoid.
When we research for the show, I often look for snipers.
Well, you actually had
do.
that situation where your back door was
No.
open.
Yeah. A couple
After-
weeks ago when we were researching for a show, I did some research at home, and then I went to bed, and then I woke up the next day, and the heat kept going on. The heat was going on, and I'm like, why is the heat going on? So I go and I look at the thermostat, and my door is open, and I'm like, oh my God, like, is all my stuff here? Like, did I get broken into? Was I robbed? Did I get murdered?
Assassins.
Yeah, assassins. Like, was there a CIA person in my house? No, I was just a dumbass, and I left the door open.
While we were talking about the show on the phone.
Yeah, we were talking about the show, and Luke called me, and I just kind of got distracted with what I was doing, and kept thinking about the show, talking about the show, and then, oops, didn't shut my door.
Yeah, show is life. So
I mean, it is, but Maslow's hierarchy of needs also kind of like kicks in there. I gotta survive the night to do the show.
it's okay. You only wasted like about $20, $30.
Oh man, I got this cough now. I don't know what's
Here, you
going
need some
on
water,
there.
Paul? I guess.
I don't know if I want to drink that water.
So, go ahead. We have a episode. We did set this episode up last episode where we talked about the CIA and its funding of drugs in the United States and around the world.
Which isn't exactly what we want to talk about, because the genesis of that story was the cop in New Jersey
Yeah, police
selling
corruption.
drugs out of his car.
and
We
police-
want to do a police corruption story, which we did, but it kind of, the CIA and the drugs, that kind of like took over.
Yeah, it was just very easy to do. Once we started researching, it all just kind of...
That was like fun night for me. I mean, talking about Gary Webb. I mean,
Yeah, you've been talking about Gary Webb for years that I've known you now.
I guess I have, haven't I?
Yeah.
Like that movie came out like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It came out in 2014, Kill the Messenger.
Hey, you were always a conspiracy theorist out of the two of us, and
I've been slowly bringing you to the dark side ever since.
I'm going to believe that I just have found my own truths, and you didn't have anything to do with that.
I don't like, that's the... I cannot stand when I hear somebody say, my truth. This is my truth. What the hell is that? Because there's only the truth or a lie. There's no my truth or your truth or his truth or Sally's truth. There's just the truth.
Paul, this is
What?
my truth.
No. Did you even know I despised that?
I didn't.
You didn't know.
But I'm going to be using
I
this
hate
more
that
often.
so much. This is my truth.
I'm going to send you many clips of people doing that now.
Compilations
of this is my truth, my truth, my truth.
What if my truth contradicts your truth, huh? What about that?
It usually does.
I mean, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
all very Orwellian, if you ask me.
Oh my god.
Is that you don't like it when I say Orwellian?
Wait, no.
Is it overdone on the show?
Oh my god, I hate it when he says
Paul said
Orwellian.
Because everything is Orwellian. That's the sad thing.
It really is.
Everything is.
The show kind of is turning into just realizing
It's
that
all
that's
ink
all we
sock,
live in.
if you ask me.
Ink sock. I don't think it's weird
My
to-
truth?
Weird you live in.
That's not like ink sock.
It's not.
That is like ink sock.
That's what yeah. Okay.
Man, I feel like I gotta read that book like every week to get ready for the show.
Yeah, it'll get you in the mood.
Oh yeah,
I'm usually in the mood just from like watching like a Thomas Sowell video.
that's
or
kind of
something.
weird. The things that get us in what kind of mood are you talking
Yeah,
about?
I
here?
know. So
I shouldn't have done that cough because now I
Now
actually
you have to do it?
Yeah.
You know, you did a good job practicing it though, since Paul's never smoked in his life.
Oh, now I got to bring that out there.
Of course I do. Paul's never smoked in his life, and
My coughs weren't convincing,
they were so unconvincing.
according to Luke.
It sounded like
My coughs for our little bit at the beginning of the show
it was so fake.
were apparently very fake, and I had to get very intense. I had to get very strong-willed
You got into character,
to
man. And
do
you really
this
did it.
cough.
The
It
moment
took
he
a
got
lot
it-
of practice.
Yeah, after he got it, I had to make sure he redid it a few times just to ensure that he got
Again,
that.
do it again.
Again, Paul. Again. I got my whip out, you know.
Well, I mean that's just for fun, but
It was to get you in the mood.
what is this? What kind of mood am I in here?
You know, we've been in like a very just down mood from doing so many episodes of
Death and destruction.
death and destruction of the United States and the world that when we decided to do this one, it also has to do with the death and destruction of the United
It does,
States.
but we're past the point of
caring?
feeling bad.
Of feeling
well, I
bad.
wouldn't say of caring because we're
Yeah,
still doing the show.
exactly, we're
and
still doing it.
We're gonna make a difference.
Yeah, I really
You
think
and
we will.
I.
I think we will.
I'm almost doing your Mark Levin. I'm almost doing an impression of your Mark Levin.
You're doing an impression of my Mark Levin impression.
Oh yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm doing my Mark Levin impression.
Get out of here, you stupid idiot.
Yeah, I can't. I definitely can't do your Mark Levin impression.
Okay, well, hey, so
Yes,
this actually
bringing us back in.
you
Here.
bring us back in because we can get off
We're very
off
far
very
out,
easily.
man.
Far out, man.
Ooh,
I'm feeling that fake weed, huh?
I'm trying to.
The fake cough is really getting to you. So we doing all this research for this episode. You know, we're kind of just going to go free flowing on this one because we kind of have some very strong views on this topic in general, and that's the war on drugs. But we kind of wanted to start off with,
I've been back and forth on the war on drugs in my lifetime.
yeah, I think me and you still actually disagree on it to an extent.
To a point.
Yeah.
I'll say.
Which we'll get into our views. I mean, well, let's just get on our views actually now. Like,
Just lay it all on the
yeah,
line.
mine is complete legalization of all drugs, complete legalization of prostitution, pretty much complete legalization of anything that has no direct harm to any other individual other than yourself.
Like I agree with that, but at the same time I wonder, just to myself, like, what'll that do to society?
Well, good news, we
Or-
actually have tested that in
See,
in
you're putting me on
Switzerland,
the-
Portugal, and Netherlands.
You're
And
putting me on the spot, knowing that I didn't do any research on that particular thing.
Well-
I'm just kind of shooting at the hip, and then you have all these facts to back up your
oh,
argument.
man, this is my truth,
This
Paul.
is your
This
truth.
my truth.
My truth is just a bunch of crap. Who cares about Paul's truth?
Well, I don't want the kids to be addicted to drugs.
I don't.
Well, Paul,
I really
have-
don't.
Well, of course.
And in my lifetime, kids are way more addicted to drugs than even. I mean, I grew up in the 80s.
I mean, I grew
Okay.
up with a lot of those kids that were addicted to drugs.
We
so-
all did the drugs in the 80s.
did, you guys?
Well, the adults did.
Adults.
They were all coked out in the other room.
Yeah, that's exactly what they were doing. They were doing charades, they would always say.
Oh, yeah, charades.
Yeah, charades is kind of a thing in the 80s, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. I know. I've seen a lot of
Taking
videos.
me back a little bit there.
So, yeah, so you actually believe that maybe drugs should be banned?
I mean, no.
Control?
I'm kind of more along your line of thinking. But I question who are the groups that are pushing for the legalization.
Wait, what? Who are the groups pushing for the illegalization?
Well,
That's a better question.
Yeah, that's true too.
Maybe
I like
the,
to look at both.
Maybe the lawyers, the bar association, any of the lawyers in this country would like to go ahead and have that. That's a money making scheme right there. The penal system, money making scheme for them right there. I don't even know what else we can say. The drug cartels actually are okay with it since they're making
a killing.
They're making a killing off of it. Yeah,
killing.
I wish I
Yeah.
had the rim shot there. So, like, if anything, I think there's more. The only people that also want it illegal would be the Christian right.
My good friends.
Your good friends, yeah. The one that we actually both at one point, I think, like followed. You know, the Christian right. I know I did. I believed at one point Rick Santorum was like. Was a godsend. I'm like, yeah, we need Rick Santorum, and then I grew up.
I forgot about Rick Santorum.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
you can't.
Man,
I
he's
can't.
so good. Ah.
So,
I wonder what he does. What is he doing now? We're gonna have to like do a future Google search on Rick Santorum.
Yeah, we'll do that right
and
after
at
this.
least give a little mention as to what he's up to nowadays.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I wouldn't mind actually doing that. So, like, so do you believe in illegalization of which drugs then?
Oh man, I don't know. Like,
The banning of which substances, I should say.
ugh.
Marijuana? You for legalization or keep it illegal?
Well, maybe it's a state issue.
Okay, well, wow, we can actually agree with that one. I would fully agree with that. Now, I would believe that drugs should not be a federal crime in any sense, and then the states can make it illegal or legal depending on how they choose. And if you want to go any closer, you can even say cities. You know, if cities want to do that, I mean, we should be going down to as the closest of a local level as possible for these types of issues.
You know what the thing about, like, we live in Illinois, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you look at Colorado, and they have gotten a lot of tax revenue from legalized marijuana.
For some of our listeners, that's probably not going to be a good argument. The state taking in tax dollars from legalization of drugs, but I get where you're going. I actually would agree with you that is actually.
I'm just saying. I agree that maybe some of our listeners, taxation is theft. That's the kind of crowd that we're getting at here.
I mean,
but
I'm anti-state for the most part, so
I'm not quite there yet.
You're not there yet. Yeah, you're not.
But Colorado's the example, right? So like they're getting all these millions of dollars in tax revenue. Ooh, the state. You know, I mean, if they're going to legalize it here in Illinois, we're going to have to sort of play the game, right? So if they legalize it here, they're going to get a ton of tax revenue. But, man, politicians in Illinois, they are going to screw it up.
Of course they will.
They're going to still spend more money than they take in.
Yes.
On whatever.
Yeah, we'll just say...
And we're going to be deeper in debt. What's Illinois'
unfunded pensions?
No, I was thinking more of our credit rating. Our credit rating is like a Z, if there is such a thing.
Yeah, we're like Detroit too. You know, like we're just
in terms of our credit worthiness.
Yeah, we're really not well respected, and
nor should we be.
Yeah,
really.
Nor should we be. Yeah, if let's just say we take in an extra $50 million, and that's probably
I want to say Colorado was like 98 million.
98 million,
and that was statistic from whatever the first year.
Yeah, 2015 or something of that sort around there. And we'll just say, I'm just throwing a low number out there just for the sake of this conversation. Our politicians would immediately go and say, well, we can spend 150 million.
Right,
it's just some insane number that you're like,
oh, it's going to go to the schools, and then it doesn't go to the school.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have all the teachers going on protests.
If we don't raise taxes, all the teachers and firemen will be fired. Like that's the total argument politicians do, especially here in the state.
Yeah, and or they're not going to get their pension. What do you want? They're going to take away their pension.
Oh, that's okay. I'm all right with them.
They should have been saving up for their own retirement. You know, you should always have a backup plan. You know.
Well, actually, I'm not okay with them getting their pensions taken away, but I do think there should be pension reform.
Well, they were promised it. There should. I mean, heck, I'd be okay if they completely take it away now. You know, just keep the people that were promised it. That was weird to say that way. But so okay. So marijuana. So let's go a little harder. Cocaine.
You know, you're gonna ask me about different like opium and
well,
cocaine.
I'm only gonna go a few because it's gonna take us a long time to go through everything.
These things are.
Started raining. Wow, we could do a show with the rain outside. You can actually hear it pretty well.
Whoa.
There's no way I'm going to cut that out either.
That was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that, like, as an individual, you shouldn't do cocaine, especially crack. We talked about crack a lot the last episode.
We did.
Heroin, opium. These are things you should stay away from as an individual. But should there be criminalization about these things? You know, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Should the state be Big Brother? Should the state be your father?
As a citizen of a nation that would have complete legalization of drugs, prostitution, anything.
What's with all this prostitution? We didn't say a word about prostitution before the show. Now you're bringing up prostitution.
I honestly
all the
just
time.
want to continually push the fact that because Backpages was just shut down recently, and I feel like
did that hurt your love life or what's going on?
Yeah, I haven't. Candy and Sasha, I'm not gonna.
It's gonna be harder for you to get a hold of.
Yeah, exactly. I lost my my pathway to go and talk to him now. So, and I know that they're going back to the pimp, which is the only way that they were able to go and get any business with the pimp before they had back pages. But with back pages, they were able to safely go and market themselves out there.
I don't know how safe Backpages is.
It's
but
much more safe than having a pimp who beats you and takes your money.
I didn't tell you about my high school teacher, did I?
Keeps you addicted to drugs to go ahead and ensure that you stay with him.
Guess how my high school teacher died?
How?
My high school typing teacher.
How's that?
He was murdered by a prostitute.
Okay, well that's like
Over an argument over money.
Well, maybe the man should have paid the woman. So
I mean, I don't know if he did. I wasn't there, but that was what I read.
that sounds like an issue with voluntarism. There's two people who had a deal. He didn't keep up with his deal. Now she shouldn't have killed him. But in the real, if it was actually legal, she could have taken him to court. He wouldn't be dead right now. He would have paid her dues, and then they would have moved on their merry way and continue everything. But instead, now we have a system to where she has to hide and then be protected by a pimp who will beat her, who will drug her up, and then will take 70-80% of all of her earnings while she's out slaving herself to all these men who are doing some creepy shit to her. When she has no control over anything now because it's not legal.
I never knew you felt so strongly about
I do.
this.
I really do. And by the way, guys, I've never had a hooker or an escort or anything.
Oh, now.
I just want to.
Now you're trying to backpedal a little bit. I went a little too far
Yeah,
there.
and I'm not like knocking anybody if they do that. It's just like, but I really do believe very strongly that just making something illegal does not make it safe. It makes it usually much more dangerous.
It creates a black market.
Creates a black market, which is much more dangerous because it can't be regulated, which I don't believe in the regulation anyways, but it can't be regulated. It can't be done safely. You can't have a court or contracts to go ahead and back up whatever transaction you're having.
So wait, if we go to Vegas, we'll take the useful idiots to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Do you have to sign a contract to
go to the brothel?
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
No, I believe that you being in the brothel in itself means that you have a voluntary action right there. I don't think you need a contract for that. But you have being a business, it probably has set rules on how the business works. And I don't think that you need to sign a contract. If you're doing anything weird, you might need to sign a contract.
I wonder.
Yeah, we'll check it out when we go.
I don't think.
Well, I'll check it out.
There you go.
I'll give you my review. All right?
Yeah.
My inside information. So we don't know. We know why we got into prostitution. That has something to do, I guess, with the drug.
I mean, it has to do with illegal things that, when they're illegal, they create black markets.
Yeah, which I guess is a
like
really
prohibition of alcohol and now drugs.
Yeah, which we saw how much the mafia was empowered by the prohibition of alcohol.
I mean, there's been how many movies made about that very subject, about the mafia during that time.
Yeah, how many deaths there were, just the racketing. And I mean, that's how Al Capone made his living, was because of that. The amount of countless deaths that happened because of prohibition of not only alcohol during the 40s, but also, or was that 30s? 30s. But also now prohibition of drugs now, because we can see the cartels in Mexico, which have killed, in fact, I actually looked up the numbers, 164,345 homicides just from 2007 to 2014.
And that's probably a low number.
That's probably a low number. That's not including most likely innocent bystanders. That's not included with most likely gang wars going on in California and Chicago and New York and everywhere else where these, in Miami, where all these other issues are occurring because of the fact that there's drug prohibition.
Well, Chicago is such a hub for the drug trade.
Well, we have the heroin highway, which is not 290. No, it's not 294. But we have the heroin highway that goes through Chicagoland, and I don't really know exactly what the impact is on the gangs in Chicago because of it. But I mean, we have a lot of heroin. I've had friends die from heroin overdoses in around here. I went to high school with them.
Yeah.
So like, it's just, I know it hits home. It hits close to home. I was taken. I was put in cuffs by the police because of marijuana, which is just insane to me. That just a kid driving with some supposed illegal substance on him.
Well, it's an actual illegal substance at the time.
Yeah, and you know what? Just like Johnny Cash said, it's the law of the time. I was a victim of a law of the time. We know this is not going to be a law forever. Am I going to get my money back that I had to pay for the fines and the time that I had to spend inside of holding? And my friends who also had to pay for this stuff, or friends that actually know they had to go to jail because of this? No, none of them are going to get anything back for this. But we know that in about 5 years it's going to be illegal, and it's not going to be an issue for anybody ever, anything past that.
The state's going to get theirs.
The state already got theirs for me. And not only that, now I'm on the internet. You can see just information about me. Now my employers can go ahead and Google me and find out anything like that I was arrested, you know? Like, the war on drugs is such a failure in so many senses, and it hurts everybody. Now, I'm just a white kid from the suburbs, but like the inner city is ravaged because of this war on drugs. The black community, 50% of our population in the prisons are black. Sorry, I should say minorities, because they're probably black and Mexican. I don't really know exactly the exact numbers, but it's 50% of minorities. 50% black. I don't really know what it is, actually.
I'm not sure where you're going there, but I mean, inner cities are definitely affected. The poor are definitely affected the most by the war on drugs.
Yeah.
Which
right.
War on drugs started in the Nixon administration.
1971, right?
Yeah, he declared drugs public enemy number one in a press conference on June 18th, 1971. And a thing that I found out about the Nixon administration that was interesting was a quote from someone who named John, how do you say his dude's name? Earlchman?
Well,
I'm not. You're the
I'll
one
read
that's
it for
better
you.
with names.
Yeah, it's Ehrlichman. It's
We'll go with that.
Ehrlichman. Say it again for me. Ehrlichman.
Ehrlichman?
Ehrlichman.
Ehrlichman.
Yes, there you go.
Ehrlichman?
It's good enough. It's good
That
enough.
sounds okay.
It's good enough.
Well, he was the counsel and assistant to the president for domestic affairs during the Nixon administration. And he said this about the war on drugs. The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Do we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did. You all right there?
Well, this is what happens when you give the power to the state. You know, if this was not, if the power is not given to the state, they wouldn't be able to enact something like this. They wouldn't be able to completely ruin the anti-war left and the black community just because they wanted to.
I mean,
that's all. They just wanted to.
This stuff can be going. I
all
mean,
for political
Donald
reasons.
Trump's going to be up for re-election in a couple of years. I mean, would you put it past him to do tactics like this?
Well, no, I wouldn't put it past any politician to do that. But we already have Jeff Sessions, obviously, who's such an anti-drug czar, you know.
He is a czar, actually. You know, it's funny. Not until the Obama administration did I ever hear about any positions in the administration called czars.
Wait, really? He's actually a czar?
Yeah. I'll have to look it up. I don't have it here with me right now.
I thought you were just agreeing with my
No, there are
terminology
positions in the administration called czars.
Well, that's terrifying.
I noticed it during the Obama presidency.
Yeah,
I thought that was new, but I guess it wasn't new then, and they still have czars now.
Yeah, yeah. Jeff Sessions needs to stay out of the. He doesn't have the right, being that it's the federal government does not have the right to infringe on the state's choices on the legalization of drugs, and
They'll sure try.
yeah, of course they will. Yeah, which Trump did run on the fact that he believed that legalization of marijuana was one of his campaign promises, or at least he talked that we should be doing it. So apparently he just likes to turn around, do a 180 once he's in office, like every other politician.
I mean, Donald Trump, I think he does a 180 and then another 180. He'll do a 360 on
Yeah,
on
he would,
things.
right? He does do that, and I don't like Trump.
Should we talk more about Trump on the show, like in general?
Sure, why not, man? If you want to talk about Trump,
I mean, I feel
you
like
were a
the main.
supporter of him during the election.
All right, full disclosure, I voted for Donald Trump
Boom.
as a.
Oh, gee, I just wanted to hear. Can you say that one more time, please?
I feel dirty saying this.
Say it again. Say it again.
I voted for Donald Trump
Thanks, Paul. I just wanted to thank you for exposing yourself.
I mean, you came clean about your drugs.
So you got to come
I'm
clean
coming clean
your-
about voting for Donald Trump. I voted for him because he was the more anti-establishment rebellion candidate.
Yeah, he was gonna drain
I
the
wanted
swamp.
to say "F you" to the establishment
Yeah,
with
and
my vote.
He was also fighting Hillary
just like I
Clinton, so-
do every election. I want to say "F you" to the establishment.
Yeah.
And I didn't think Gary Johnson, the Libertarian candidate, he just wasn't up to snuff.
He was not. And I voted for him like
I mean,
an
I
idiot.
might agree more with some of his stances, but
Aleppo?
Aleppo.
I'm going to love it. Is there any-
Speaking of Gary Johnson, did you see the post I tagged you in
Yeah,
today?
Bill
Bill
Weld.
Weld, who was Gary Johnson's running mate, is considering a 2020 bid
for the
pres-
Libertarian ticket. Now, he supported Hillary Clinton in 2008. He supported, who was in 2012? It was an establishment Republican.
Romney.
Yeah, he supported Romney in 2012. After Hillary Clinton in 08. Hillary Clinton in 08, he supported. How could you run for a Libertarian on the Libertarian ticket after you supported,
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton?
I don't got an answer for you there.
Oh God!
You okay?
No. This show gets to me, man. This show really gets to me, Paul.
Why is that? You didn't think I'd bring up Bill Weld today?
No, because when he sent it to me, I was so angry just looking at it. I immediately X'd out because I don't go on Facebook really, but only when you tag me and stuff. And I immediately X'd out of it. I'm like, I don't need to read this crap. I don't need this crap in my life.
Are we gonna do a future show? Is Bill Weld gonna be in our future here? on
Yeah, he
Useful
will.
Idiots?
Yeah, he will. Especially if he actually ends up running on the ticket.
Hopefully he doesn't listen to this episode before if we get him on for an interview, maybe.
I'll get anybody on for an interview. He'll never come back after I'm done with it. So that, who was it? Joel Ehrlichman?
John.
Oh, John Ehrlichman.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
I
guy.
can remember his name. That's a pretty exposing
A damning quote
A
there?
damning quote, yeah. You really got to hand it to that. That was actually a plan of a government, of a cabinet. A presidential cabinet.
This quote appeared in Harper's Magazine in 1994.
They were actually using their political power to silence their political
Opposition.
opponents. Yeah, opposition. My mind
Using drugs as criminalizing drugs as the means to an end.
Yeah, and we've actually talked about this. How there's the war on drugs, there's the war on poverty, there's the how they can
War on terror.
Yeah, war on terror, which is what you can silence speech for, because you can say that it is a national security threat. So, we can already see that this precedent was already set up in the 70s, and now that they've learned how to abuse this system throughout all the rest of the presidential cabinets and everything. And
I mean, look at all the government agencies that have grown during the war on drugs.
Oh.
I mean, at least during Prohibition, man, at least we were talking about this in the pre-show. At least they did it the right way and made constitutional amendments.
It's a lot of work to get
for
an amendment
alcohol
through.
prohibition.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to get an amendment through. And now the founders obviously put that in there for a reason. They didn't want the Constitution messed with, and it had to be something that was really that everybody was on board with to actually get it to pass.
I mean, is there any issue, outside of drugs, that the United States population will all agree on as far as amending the Constitution? I don't think
anything. And not only that, this was the thing that they agreed on. The prohibition of alcohol.
Of alcohol. I mean,
And now they didn't even
And
really
then-
want it because they all drank anyways. They were all drinking anyways.
I mean, I don't know. There must have been during that time period a heavy
Religious.
anti-alcohol movement.
Yeah, there must have been a heavy religious.
I mean, there's an anti-alcohol movement now, with all the drunk driving and DUIs, and look at how much drinking and driving has been criminalized. I've known people that have gotten DUIs. I haven't gotten one myself, but man, you get a DUI, you're going to be out $10,000.
I'm surprised.
Just like that.
Yeah, I guess I kind of should have had one. I got in an accident, and yeah, I don't know how I didn't get DUI on that.
I don't either. I wasn't there.
You weren't there, and I don't remember it. So, but I got away with that one. So
Sort of. I mean,
yeah, I guess not really.
You did wake up in the hospital.
I like how I still laugh about that, and people just do not like me laughing about that.
I'm a little uncomfortable with you laughing.
You
about
almost
that.
died, Luke. I know, right? It's fucking crazy.
You ruined our Christmas party.
I ruined work for.
Me and Luke, we used to work together, 9 to 5
man.
job, and I didn't really know Luke very well. I just, we had met. We kind of like started getting along. I enjoyed seeing him. We weren't exactly super good friends or anything, but like, the bromance was starting at that point.
Yeah,
Let's just say.
Yeah, it was stirring.
I don't think we talked about like
Thomas Sowell.
Thomas Sowell or anything at that
Yeah.
point in time, but like it's just a friendly coworker. And then all of a sudden, I went to my first work Christmas party because Luke had been there before me, so I went to my first Christmas party, and then word starts sweeping around the Christmas party, like towards the end, that Luke was in a coma after being in a terrible car accident. Oh my God.
Oh man.
That just ruined everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of employees at that job too. So like,
There were like 100 people.
it was more. I don't know how many people
At
were there
least
at that
100
time.
people.
But yeah, it was.
And man, that was such a buzzkill. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's funny because I remember. Oh man, I feel really bad about it now. My family. I woke up to my family staring at me, and I was laughing because they were all crying, and I just, man. You couldn't understand how, that. I had no clue.
Luke got his
what I
bell
looked like.
rung really good.
I looked like I went through 50 rounds with Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson. I mean, I was black and blue, and my face was messed up, jacked up, and I had no idea what I looked like. But my family was crying, and I was just laughing because I didn't get it. But hey.
Were they crying tears of joy because you woke up?
No, they were just
No.
crying from the fact that even happened to their brother, their son, and their everybody. There was a lot of people there. But I remember that I actually was crying from laughing about a week later because my buddies were telling me a story about it because I had a friend inside the car with me, and he was telling me about this, what actually happened, and I was laughing hysterically. It was one of the funniest stories of my life. And I still don't get, people do not like to know that I'm laughing about such a horrific incident in my life. What do you want me to do? You want me to go and feel sorry for myself? Oh, geez, I really find it hilarious. But I don't know how we got on that topic, actually.
Just talking about drugs.
Talking about drugs. Luke's past, right? So, that was, so being that, though, this has been a pretty negative situation that has occurred because of Nixon's policies that he enacted back then, which were only amped up by Ronald Reagan in the 80s.
Oh boy, I do remember that.
Yeah.
This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs.
Just the egg.
That wasn't a good
The egg in the frying
egg
pan.
breaking sound effect, but I'll go with that.
The egg in the frying pan. Yeah, I've actually seen that. And then the deflated girl on the couch.
I forgot about that
You
one.
forgot about that one?
Yeah.
I grew up and this was still pretty big when I was growing up. And
Really? I thought your generation just, I'll let them do drugs. Who cares?
No,
But that was,
we grew up with DARE, the DARE program.
oh, that was in the 80s too.
Drugs awareness,
Yeah.
and man, it's just crazy how I didn't know anybody who didn't do drugs by the time I was in high school, or at least by the senior
You
year.
mean before high school?
No, end of senior year. By the end of senior
Oh,
year,
wow.
I didn't know anybody who.
What
did
about
not.
grade school?
No one did it. What? Who did drugs in
What
grade
about
school?
7th or 8th grade?
I only know a few.
I
only know a
mean,
few kids
when
who
I
did
was in
drugs.
7th or 8th grade, people were maybe not so much drugs, maybe a few, but that was like, oh my God, that person does drugs.
They smokes marijuana? Whoa.
No, I was thinking more like pills, but
Who took pills in 7th and 8th grade?
an individual or two that I don't really want to name.
It's okay. You don't have to know. Just very surprised.
I don't know what happened to them actually, but there was more experimentation with alcohol that I remember.
Okay.
7th or 8th grade,
Yeah.
which
So,
is
so DARE
kinda
didn't
scary.
work. As long as DARE's been around, then it hasn't worked. Because it obviously didn't work for your generation. It most definitely did not work for my generation. And
I mean, really, it's the job of the parents to raise their kids and to
I don't know.
make good choices.
Yeah, my parents were pretty staunch. They really didn't want me to do drugs. They tried very hard. They were good parents. They were good parents. So I don't know how it happened to me, but
Well, damn it, Luke, you didn't turn out so well.
no, it looks like maybe we should just legalize drugs, and then maybe we can work within the boundaries of a system where they're legalized. And I think that might be easier. Instead of what happens is that when you have it illegal and you have parents that find it to be a reprehensible thing that drugs can be possibly abused by your kids, you can start to have situations where your family can be addicted to drugs, family, friends, or anybody can be addicted to drugs. And because of the negative connotation in society about drug abuse, can have these people addicted to drugs and too afraid to reach out for help. I am so offended by the illegalization of drugs. It has such a negative consequence on society. The fact that I mean, I've known people who were addicted who were afraid to bring it up to people because they were going to be outcasted. They were going to be looked down upon. Nobody wanted to help them because of all you were was just a failure in society. You were just you were a scumbag. You were terrible. What kind of system is that we set up where we outcast these people for having an issue where they actually have an extreme amount of dopamine running through their brain because they've done a drug that rewards them for doing the drug again? No, it's a problem where you may have done it, and that's one instance. But now we have to work within the system that now your brain wants it, and now it's very hard to bring it up to anybody because you want it, but nobody will look at you in a good light.
They just look down on you.
They look down on you. Man, I really have a problem with that. I see that in society everywhere. I know parents that are looked down upon their kids that do drugs, and they can't even. I know the kids that are addicted to drugs, and they can't bring it up. Like, they can't bring it up to their own parents to help them. The people that they look to give them the most guidance look down upon them if they even thought about the fact that they even did a drug, and yet they're addicted. Wow. Like, we really need a change in society to help this, and we are not going in the right direction.
Well, how do you get people to not do drugs, but also not stereotype or stigmatize people that do?
Well, I've known people that were addicted to drugs that lived perfectly healthy lives. They went to work every single day. They may have not had the aspirations that some of us would have dreamed for or wished for, but I mean, they were still productive members of society, and they were addicted to drugs. That's their own choice. I might not have agreed with them, and they may have not gone as far as I would have liked them to in their dreams, but
these things are addictive, though.
Oh, they most definitely are.
So if someone's addicted...
You think that making it illegal, though, would stop them from doing it? Because we know for a fact that it doesn't. It's still a massive problem in society. In fact, we have the highest opioid addiction since maybe the early 1900s.
Which is just crazy to me that these things come back, like after...
Yeah, I don't know how or why.
Having been away.
But obviously making it illegal does not help. We know that. We can see that factually after 100 years of it now.
Well, how do you get people to stay away from these things?
And
maybe it's not the government's role.
Yeah, I don't think it's the government's role. And unfortunately, drug awareness programs like DARE did not work. There was the PSAs from all the people. I don't really know exactly what it is, but I would say that most people, if they want to try drugs, are going to try drugs. Most teens